Hi, this is Adam for Stonedead TV. The festival is on, and I have the wonderful Mr. Adrian Vandenberg here with us. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Yeah, really looking forward to be able to play here. You know, it's for me, it's an adventure every time.
We're very excited. I mean, the crowd out there are really anticipating this set for you today.
Oh, great!
It's been, and of course, you've been a non-stop schedule. We've been following you on social media for a few days and seeing what you've been up to. You haven't stopped. How do you keep your energy levels up so well?
I don't know. You know, I honestly don't know, because I mean, quite a number of people have been asking me that ever since I was about 15 or something. And it's not like you know, sometimes when you see kids that are overly energetic, that was not me. You know, because I love to be lazy as well.
Yeah.
Actually, it's an undervalued life form, you know, talent to be convincingly lazy, and I'm pretty good at that. But I don't know, you know, it's it may have to do with the fact that I've never done any drugs. I don't smoke. I love what I do, which is probably the main thing, I think.
Adrenaline is an underrated drug, isn't it?
It is. It is, and I realize every day that I'm such a fortunate bastard that I can actually do this, you know, because it's my biggest passion, and people enjoy it, and it's just a great thing where you can see smiling faces while you make them smile because you do something that you really love, and that's such a piece of luck, actually, you know, because the music chooses you. You don't really choose the music, you know. It's something you love to do, but when you have the opportunity to make a living out of it, which for a guy coming from Holland is very unusual, because there's only a handful of bands who did it like that, you know. From Holland, you had Golden Earring and you had Focus. In the last decades, a band called Within Temptation, which is more a goth type of thing.
Yeah.
With a chick in a corset. For some reason, all these chicks always wear a corset and they always have red long hair.
You know, I've tried, but it just doesn't suit.
It would look good on you, though.
I think it would. 40 years ago since the debut for your first album.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's quite shocking, actually.
How do you feel about that in reflection? I mean, let's face it, 40 years, post 40 years, you've had an incredibly varied and interesting career. Do you ever just pause for a minute and just have a moment of reflection and just go, what happened there?
Yeah, in a way, you know. What the weird thing is that I can remember when I was a kid, and my mom would take me somewhere, and she would run into another woman in the street, and she's like, "Oh, I was in school with her." And I go, "Mom, you know, that's an old woman. She's almost 30 or something, you know." Yeah. And then my mom go, "Yeah, you know, but the thing is, I still feel like I'm 16." And I thought, that's impossible. When you're grown up, you know, you're old. And I see the same thing with myself, because when I think back about 40 years when I wrote, or 42 years ago, I wrote Burning Heart. You know, I'm still playing it. I would never have thought I would. But those 40 years, I can still see myself behind the piano at my parents' place, and it feels like 8 years ago or 15 years ago or something. It's a weird thing. In music, you're in some kind of a parallel time zone type of thing. You know, when you think back at certain things, like when we played Wembley Arena with Whitesnake, when Michael Schenker was actually playing before us, that feels like maximum 10 years ago. But
of course, because that was your first UK tour.
Yeah.
I was with Michael Schenker.
Yeah, it was 1990. So, thinking about it now, that's like 32 years ago. This morning when I got up, I didn't even realize I was 32 years old, you know? So it's just a weird thing. It's weird.
It's a crazy life.
And like Einstein already said, you know, time is a relative thing. And he didn't mean it this way, but it is. I mean, everybody must have those similar experiences, you know, where you think, wow, is that already 10 years ago? You know, wow, is that already 5 or 30 years ago? You don't know. I remember things from when I was 3 or 4 years old. I was in my city of birth 2 years ago, and I went to my house of birth, which was above a a bakery, which laid the groundwork for my love for pastries. I'm sure. Can't be any different. But anyway, I remember the route that I used to take on my little tri-wheel type of thing.
Yeah, your trike.
Yeah, my trike. And I walked that route and I knew exactly what was on the way. I go, that's weird, you know, you're 3 years old, what the fuck do you know? But you know more than you think when you're adult. You think, kids don't know anything. Well, they do know more than you think. So the whole time thing is...
It just goes and flashes in the blink of an eye, doesn't it? Going back to that time, actually, really interested to know. I spoke to Yngwie Malmsteen a little while back. We talked about his very early days as a child when he started to play guitar.
Yeah.
When you started to play guitar, what sort of music were you listening to when you first started?
Anything. We only had one on Dutch radio. There was only one pop program per week. It was an hour. It was called Time for Teenagers, and I was 8, so I felt like a teenager. I thought, wow,
yeah, rock and roll that, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I listened from anything that had like a pop vibe to it, because my dad and my sister are classically trained musicians, and all I heard in the house was jazz and classical, and I kind of appreciate it. But ever since I heard the Beatles, you know, I go, wow, music can be like this as well, you know. So in that pop program, you would have Petula Clark, and then you heard the Cream, and then you heard Tom Jones, and then you heard Jimi Hendrix. It was all mashed up, and I loved it all because I just love melody, you know. And I remember trying to figure out the intro from like some cheesy pop song. I think it was the Petula. It was Downtown.
Downtown, yeah.
So
that was my brother's first record.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So I figured it out on the piano. I thought, it's got to be something like this, you know. And so I could just, or like the intro from Bee Gees song, Spicks and Specks.
Yeah.
That was easy with one finger. I could play that for an hour until my mom screamed from the kitchen, "Adrian, stop it!" So I thought, okay, I had time to learn something else, you know. But that's how it goes, and it just consumed me.
That's the DNA of music with melody. It's like
it is.
It gets under your skin.
Yeah.
And you're kind of drawn to it, and you have to find a way to kind of get to it yourself.
Yeah.
And I guess that's when you started, when you picked the guitar up. That was your way of connecting to that DNA.
Yeah. Before that, I was fumbling around on the piano, and I have relatives in England. My mom was married to. My mom's sister got hitched by a British pilot in the Second World War. Mm-hmm. Hey baby, can I offer you a glass of milk? Something like that must have been.
Pencil moustache.
But she was a nurse, so she treated him in the hospital. He was shot down with his plane, and they fell in love. And after the war, she moved to England. So I had a couple of cousins, and they were already in a rock band. And my eldest cousin had drum lessons from Simon Kirke from the Free, Bad Company, all-time favorite bands. And one of the other cousins could play boogie woogie on the piano, and that's what I wanted because it was different than what my sister played, you know, classical stuff. So the guy goes, and that feel was so different. I thought that's what I want to do, but I didn't have a guitar yet. So one of my aunts gave me a piece of shit guitar. And I must have been about 11 or something then, or 12, and I was wondering why the frets were on that neck. You know, the frets had like the little metal stripes where you can make a tone, but I didn't know why they were there because I figured out a way to play the theme for this series. Rawhide was a cowboy series. I could just play it on 2 strings if I tuned it like that, down, and then. Down. And I thought, well, that's enough for now, you know. And then I figured out, oh, wait a minute, you know, you can. So I never took any lessons. I just fucked around on the guitar, and I still can't read notes. I don't have a clue. I just play by ear and I go, oh, this sounds pretty nice. And
well, when you know the guitar inside and out, that's part of your own body, I guess. It's like an extension of your own self.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I hear so many players, you know, like Michael Schenker, where I go, holy shit, that guy is so good, you know, and then. It makes me feel like a beginner when I hear guys like him or Eddie Van Halen, who I got to know pretty well. And then I realized, wait a minute, it's because everybody's got his own thing, you know. I'm a huge fan of Brian May, for instance. That's one of the biggest inspirations for me because he's got this melodic thing, you know.
Great guitar tone as well.
It's amazing.
Stuff, isn't it?
It still blows me away, you know, when I go, holy shit, that guy is he's a continuous inspiration, just like people like Michael or Randy Rhoads or Jeff Beck or Keith Richards even. I mean, Keith Richards can't play a solo to save his life, basically, to be honest. But then again, he can, because there's I don't give a fuck type of attitude about it, and he's got these amazing riffs that he creates.
He styles it out.
And so my favorite guitar players go all the way from guys who can barely play a solo to guys who are virtuosos, and I still get excited by it. I hear something on the radio, go, holy shit, I turn on the radio in the car, and there's like a Brian May solo or a Schenker solo or a Jeff Beck solo, whatever. And I still get goosebumps, you know, and I still get excited when I see my Marshall stacks on stage. I go, wow. I had a poster with Jimi Hendrix and Jimmy Page and those guys on my walls when I was a student, and they all had those Marshall stacks. I thought, man, one day, you know, hopefully I can afford one of the things, and now I do. So
and now you're here.
And now I'm playing in fucking Britain, man.
You are?
Yeah.
Congratulations. Well, Stonedead is really looking forward to getting you out there today.
Well, so am I.
The crowd would really be great to see you.
The funny thing is, every time when I hear or see Stonedead, you know, I have to think of that Spinal Tap thing when you know, by Stonehenge.
Yeah.
Stonehenge.
Stonehenge.
So every time when I hear Stonedead, I said, "No, you're pronouncing it wrong. It's Stonedead." Well, that's my lousy.
Well, we're going to use that clip. We're going to use that clip.
Please do. Yeah, it's brilliant.
You heard it.
It's one of my all-time favorite movies.
Adrian, thank you so much for the interview today.
My pleasure, man. My pleasure.
Mr. Adrian Vandenberg.